Most of these terms are designed to confuse the victims of white supremacy, meaning non-white people. So the concept, if I've expressed in my book, is that you centralize what it is that you're really after to eliminate, and also focus on what you intend to replace it with. So the term that I use consistently, replace white supremacy with justice. Now, if anybody mentions anything about Christianity or Islam or Zionism or conservatism or liberalism or anything like that, these are terms that you take and push to the side until someone steps forward and shows how these terms either support white supremacy or help to replace it with justice. Because the key thing you have to remember, or should remember, what is it you're trying to produce ultimately? You're trying to produce a world dominated by justice, which means, and I had to give the word justice a definition because there's no legal definition for it. So I gave it a compensatory definition, which I think will hold up for all time. That compensatory is guaranteeing that no person is true, and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help any time in any area of activity. And if you don't have that situation, you do not have justice. Now, any ism, any religion, any political philosophy that is opposed to the concept of justice, it is supportive of white supremacy, because white supremacy is all about non-justice. So you just have one thing to focus on, not 2 or 3 dozen different isms, because whether it's communism or socialism or capitalism, you're really talking about, in a capsule, the system of racism, which is white supremacy, because they have control of all of these isms. They are the people that make up their minds at the end of the day what is going to happen to non-white people on the planet. It is determined by a white person somewhere, or white persons in conglomerate somewhere who believe in white supremacy. And these are the people who have the muscle on this planet. And all of the evidence points to that. First of all, people who believe in white supremacy. Now, white supremacists will say anything. They will call themselves Christians. They'll call themselves Muslims. If they are white supremacists, they will call themselves Republicans. They'll call themselves liberals, liberal Democrats. They'll call themselves Nazis. They'll call themselves peacemakers. They will call themselves anything and call anyone else anything, as long as at the end of the day it means that they have the power.
General Payne, we are a little pressed for time. We've got a number of emails. Do we have a final comment and or question from yourself this morning? I hate to rush you through, but we have a little time constraint.
Yeah, no problem. It's just that the concept of white supremacism is born out of something, and it's like milk will always have cream. So when we talk about white supremacism, it starts from somewhere. And the people who are white supremacists, in actual fact, have an elitist regime within themselves, which starts from the Talmud, which goes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years back to biblical Zionism, where they separate amongst themselves. And from that is where white supremacy, you could say, is being used by those who are white supremacists and those who think they're above white supremacy. So I just think we should go for the eye. That's all.
All right. Always great to hear from you, General Payne. Great.
Thanks a lot, Neely.
All right. And we're going to continue. Telephone line again is open in case anybody else wants to get through to us. And, Mr. Fuller, there are some people who have made the suggestion, we hear it quite frequently here on LIB Radio, that us even mouthing the term white supremacy is to further empower something which in actuality can be decoded, can be confronted, but we should, perhaps analyze the system in more detail and make our response to the system not so much, I say that our response to the system should be more complex than what it generally has been. How do you respond to those people who say that just using the term white supremacy is to empower the system of white supremacy.
The evidence does not show that. That's what I say. The evidence does not show that. And anybody who uses the term white supremacy at any meeting will just about stun everybody. Not all of these other isms, liberalism, conservatism, you know, it's about maybe 2 or 3 dozen isms that are used. You name it. I mean, isms all over the place. All you have to do is just say racism is white supremacy and white supremacy is racism. And that the issue is white supremacy, and that what we should be doing, every move that we make, is to replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. When you do that at any meeting, you will put everything on freeze frame. And anybody who tries it will find that out. Now, if it doesn't happen on freeze frame, you will see that the white people who are present there, and maybe some non-white people, who have been assigned to defend white supremacy, will try to get you away from the use of the term. You can almost count on it. They will get you to use any other term. They'll get you to talk about anything from exploitation to oppression to neo-colonialism, all of the synonyms for white supremacy, so that they don't really talk directly to what they're talking about. Because that's really what you'll be talking about. White supremacy is the most powerful political system and the strongest religion. I want to say this to the entire world. White supremacy, the system of white supremacy, is the strongest religion that the world has ever seen. And if you open your eyes and look at it, the white people who believe in white supremacy are the most powerful people, politically and religious-wise, that the world has ever seen up to this point, because we are at this point.
Now, does that also, and we got a caller who's coming, we're going to have you right up, caller, does it also discount that legacy from the Nile Valley, which others say was the evidence points to that as the most powerful civilization, the most powerful political system that's ever been defined in world history?
Okay, the first thing we'll start with is we have no proof that no civilization ever existed. Civilization is yet to be produced. That's why we don't even have human beings.
The definition of civilization you're using for that?
Meaning a system where no one is mistreated. And the person that needs help the most gets it without fail, guaranteed.
With the system,
these systems have never existed, according to all recorded history.
Again, that would conflict with what we have inherited and we know is the system of Ma'at, which apparently was in place ruling over human civilization on a global basis for over 10,000 years.
Well, that's what we have heard. But then there are people who will come up and say that it's not so, that somebody, somewhere at that time was being mistreated, that somebody got murdered, somebody was denied something that they needed. See, we're talking about, if you're talking about utopia, that's exactly what we're talking about. See, in order to be civilized, that's exactly what you're talking about. It's never happened. Unless we wanted to put it in the context of, well, some people were able to cross the river with efficiency and other people weren't. And then you call that a civilization.